Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel. So it's Saturday, I'm down at Preston Park Parkrun. We've just done the run for the day, so we're all finished. And I'm going to be doing something later on this afternoon, another run, but I'm going to get onto that in a second. If you're new to the channel, I'm Ben. I got into trail and ultra running last year, and I'm currently training for my final race of the year, which is going to be the Copthorne 50 miler, a hilly one, so 11,000 feet of elevation, so it's going to be my biggest elevation challenge yet, and it's coming up in about 6 weeks time now. So do consider subscribing if you'd like to follow along. And in this video today, we're firstly going to have a look at what I did for my Wednesday run earlier this week when I went out in search of some hills. So here it is. Hello everyone, so it's Wednesday, I'm out for a midweek run, and I've just come up to Devil's Dyke to try and get in some elevation for today. So it's about 5 miles coming up here. Managed to get some elevation in the bank running up here already, so about 800 feet. But the plan is today to try and get in as much elevation as possible. There is Devil's Dyke over there, and my plan is to use this as a bit of a loop. So you can run down into Devil's Dyke and then you can come up on the bank on the right side over here. And I calculated when I came out here a few weeks ago that that's going to give me roughly 400 feet of elevation per mile loop. The reason why I'm focusing on elevation, of course, is because in about 6 weeks time I've got my last race of the year, the Copthorne 50 miler, and it's going to be the most elevation I've ever done, so about 11,000 feet in total. So training at the moment is very much focusing on elevation. The other thing I'm trying out today, the big news, is that I have got some poles through the post. So my first set of running poles, so I've had them, I haven't used them yet, I just had them strapped to the back of my Harrier pack here, and they are Harrier Helvellyn Pro carbon poles. So I'm going to try these out today on the Devil's Dyke elevation, give them a go and see how I get on. I've never had a set of poles before, so I don't really know what I'm doing with them, to be honest, but if anyone has any tips, if anyone's used them in races for different runs, then do let me know down in the comments below. So, two things I've realised so far. One is that it's quite hard to film with poles. Second thing is that I think I'm going to take these caps off. So the Harrier poles have got these caps on the bottom where, you know, if you're going on firmer ground, you can have these, but you can also take them off, and then that means you've got a bit that can kind of spike in there as well. So I think, yeah, you can use these for harder ground, and also to protect, you know, to have these over the top so you don't get kind of spiked by them if you're not using them. But yeah, because actually the ground is a bit soft in places around here, because we've got many grass and this trail here, I'm going to take them off, see how I get on with that. Okay, so that's one loop in the bag. A few first impressions of the Harrier poles, and do take this with a pinch of salt. As I said earlier on, this is my first pair of poles, so I can't necessarily give a comparison, but a few things I really like about these. Firstly, they're very easy to assemble. Idiot proof, I was able to assemble them. They fold down into a kind of Z, and then you just pull them out and there's a little clip that kind of pops out, and then you're all good to go. So yeah, really easy to use and to assemble. Secondly, they're very light, so really like that. You know, if as you're running downhill with them and carrying them, feels so light, so not too cumbersome at all. And then third thing I really like about them is this handle on the top. So you've got this nice comfy handle, and when you put your hand through here, this bit here on the inside, very soft. So yeah, this bit, that bit in there, really nice and soft, so just cushions your wrist nicely as you're gripping onto them. So yeah, just a few things I really like about them so far. Right, that's one loop done. I'm actually going to take a slight detour, and I'm going to dip down to a place called Saddlescombe Farm, because they've got a water tap down there and I haven't got any liquid with me, so I'm going to chuck some active root in a bottle, fill it up, and then do a couple of hills around there, then come back and carry on with some loops over here Devil's Dyke way. set already. So let's go find some more hills. It's really handy having that tap by Saddlescombe Farm there, because I can kind of use that as my aid station, at least for water anyway. You know, the race I'm doing, the Copthorne 50, it's going to be 5 10-mile loops, and there's going to be the aid station at the start, so you can kind of keep going back to that if you like every 10 miles. There'll also be a water station every 5 miles. So yeah, having that tap there, getting used to refilling a bit and then going out again, just really good to mimic what it's going to be like on race day. So the way that I've been trying to get enough elevation into my training is basically by going to the particularly hilly spots on the South Downs Way and doing some repeats of them and then running on. The thing about the South Downs Way is that it's quite undulating, which means you don't have too many extreme climbs. But if I want to mimic what it's going to be like for the race, then I need to be trying to get in about 2,000 feet of elevation per 10 miles. So the only way I can really do that is by running along the South Downs Way for a bit, choosing a hilly spot, doing a couple of laps of it, and then carrying on. Luckily, I don't necessarily, in my training, need to be doing, you know, multiple laps of the same point, because that could get quite boring, and I do like, you know, going out there just exploring. But I will be doing a couple of laps of the hilly spots just to ensure I can get enough elevation in over the mileage. Haven't noticed this one before, this little track going up. I don't know if you can see it from here, but I'm going to give that one a go, I think. Oh yeah. Oh, we got an obstacle. Can we jump this? Risky strategy, 6 weeks out from race, but seem to have survived. Right, yeah, let's give this path a go. This looks a pretty steep one. Right, yeah, definitely, I can't do this with the camera. It's funny actually, 'cause I think one of the tricky things about using poles on these paths is actually because they're quite narrow as well. So I sometimes find, you know, when you're trying to stick your pole in either side, it can be hard to find a spot because you kind of don't know what you're putting your pole into on either side. Right, yeah, I'm going to put the camera away and try and focus on this. Oh dear. Right, the path's evened out there, so I'm just going to go back down and then go back up the other side over there. Oh yeah, some decent hills in today. This, yeah, I did feel my calves burning on here actually for the first time today. Otherwise I think the poles have really helped, but yeah, up here I found it quite hard actually, because I often had to adopt like this position as I was going up the hill, and they're trying to drag and just pull it. So yeah, I was kind of almost like going over like this as I was trying to go up. So yeah, maybe trickier to use the poles on like a really extreme hill. That's what I'm finding anyway in my early days of using them. Very early days, first day of using them. Right, 2 hours in, just had a bit of a crazy idea. I thought I would try a bit of Devil's Dyke with no path. So I've just come up here and then going to head up to the top there, try and add on a bit more elevation. I just thought actually it's worth doing things in training that are a little bit kind of out of the ordinary sometimes, and maybe a little bit more challenging. You know, when you're miles into a race and you don't want to do the steepest hill, then maybe choosing the steepest hill in training is kind of good preparation for that. Right, I best focus, get my poles going again and get up to the top. Right, that is all the hills done for today. So all that is left to do now is to run back to Brighton from Devil's Dyke. Decided to do this killer hill at the end, came straight up there, but yeah, I was really pleased that actually overall I really enjoyed today's run, loved it. Energy felt really good. I didn't have any food actually on the run. Usually if it's over an hour and a half then I will do, but yeah, today just went on the active route, bit of water, and yeah, energy levels felt really good. So yeah, all that's left to do now is to pack away the poles, put them in the backpack, get the head torch out actually because it is starting to get a bit darker, and then run back. And I'll put up on the screen how I got on today. So including the 5 miles back. So what I ended up doing, and then I will be thinking about doing a little bit of speed work later on in the week, maybe parkrun on Saturday as well. Yeah, so I'll think about what I'm going to do for later runs this week, so I'll see you a bit later on. So we're now back to Saturday, post Preston Park Parkrun, which I did earlier this morning. Used that as a bit of a warm-up, and I'm currently doing a new kind of run that I'm introducing into my training at the moment. So I'm branding this the Power Hour, and the idea behind it is each week to do roughly an hour, maybe a bit more, speed on the trails. So I said in a previous video, you know, one way I'm switching up my training is trying to do more speed work on the trails rather than on the track and the road, you know, to mimic the conditions that I'm going to be running on. So some weeks I'm going to do this as intervals, other weeks I might do it as fartlek training like I am today. Fartlek, if you haven't come across it before, Swedish word for speed play, and basically just means where you go on a run, then you do little bits of speed here and there. So, you know, if we're looking out into the distance now, I might say to myself, right, I'm going to run to that second tree over there, quick, as quick as I can maybe, and then I'll ease back. Then maybe I choose to do a kilometre a bit fast, or, you know, just taking a little section, hilly section, running it fast. So yeah, I quite like it because it's a very playful form of speed work. So I think by mixing my speed work up firstly, and also calling it the Power Hour, sounds a bit cooler than intervals, it might give me more motivation to invest in my speed work and do it more regularly. So that is today's Power Hour over the downs here. A bit has been on road to get here, about 1.6 miles, but most of this is going to be on trail, so mimicking the terrain that I'll have for my upcoming races. Right, so that is my Power Hour all done for this week. I did about an hour and 20 minutes in the end, and yeah, it was tough in places. I was pushing it in parts, but overall I really enjoyed it. You know, just being able to be flexible with the speed, push it when you want to up a hill, push it when you want to down a hill. If there's a certain bit of terrain you're liking the look of, then you can focus on that. So yeah, really enjoyed that overall. So I'm definitely going to use it in future weeks. I think the Power Hour is going to become a kind of regular thing now. So that's all the training done for this week. I'll pop up my totals on the screen, but yeah, good week overall. Starting to push up that elevation a bit more, and next week I'm going to be pushing it up further, and the video coming on the channel then is going to be Carla doing the Beachy Head Marathon. So I'll be heading down to film that next weekend, bringing it to you next weekend on the channel, and that'll be her second marathon, her second trail marathon. So looking forward to see her do well on that next week, and also just get a sense of the atmosphere for the day, head out to Seven Sisters Way again. So thanks for tuning in everyone, have a good week, enjoy your running, and I'll see you all in the next one.